Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
Hey everybody, it's Joe. I'm back out here at Giga Texas. It is another Friday, but this one is a holiday for the United States, so it's not quite as much activity for construction, and of course no production here today. So I decided to try a little bit of a different video, and you're going to see that. I kind of combined a semi-grand tour, but focused on certain construction sites, and then some detail views as well. So first we start up at the north construction site, kind of stay up at high altitude and just show you what the entire construction site looks like right now. Starting from the north, they're doing geopiers, working on the preparation for the footings, which will be part of the columns and the foundation for the factory. In the middle section, we see the steel erection continuing. Of course, it's up to 4 floors. They're starting in the middle and then working their way to the north and the south, very similar to what they did with Giga Texas right behind me when it was originally constructed. Further to the south, we see the footing construction well underway. There's different kinds of footings. There's a pedestal footing, a flat footing as well, and also some kind of in-between footings that they're putting together. As we go farther to the south, more of the grade work is underway up to that dirt road. And then on the south side of the dirt road, more of the reclamation work that is underway to prepare that ground for extension of that construction site. And the next place that I went to do the same thing with is over at Cortex 2. You get a chance to see from a higher altitude how the entire structure is coming together, from the megapacks on the west side to the cooling system on the east side, and overall what the factory and that plant is looking like. Just a reminder, it is already partially operational. They're continuing to finish out the rest of that structure, and we should see that kind of getting closer to fully operational sometime this fall if everything holds as the original plan. Another site that I looked at from that same kind of bird's eye view is on the east side. This is that joint venture with SpaceX to build the advanced technology chip fabrication plant. What we see right now is continued preparation to move more of the work shops that are fabricating some of the pipes and manifolds that are used over in Cortex 2, maybe going to be used in the new construction site for the Optimus robot on the north side. We also see some of the geopier work, which is preparing the ground for eventual construction, probably for support, maybe where footings are going to be. We also see some additional earthwork as they continue to prepare this overall site, and probably we're going to see overall more just reconfiguration work here to prepare everything so that they can begin construction. At the pace that they're going right now, I kind of think that we're probably going to start seeing real construction, which means things associated with the footings and the foundation probably towards the end of summer, but I'll keep watching that and we'll see how this all develops. One other place that I did the same kind of flyover is at the test track. Just wanted to stay up and show you the overall view of what is going on with that track, how it is coming together, and what we can expect as they continue to work on that infield to finish out the parts of the track that are not finished right now. And we'll see what that looks like when it is completed. So with that, a lot to see in the video today. As I mentioned, it's kind of a blend between a tour of individual sites and some detail views. A lot more to see, some Cybercab action as well. So make sure you watch the entire video. As always, thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Hope you have a great weekend. Take care.
If you would like to support my efforts, please consider using these links, which will be in the video description. If you are interested in Tesla products, you can help yourself and support me by using my referral code. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons on my YouTube video, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Well, good morning from a low cloud but otherwise nice day to fly here on a holiday Friday at Giga Texas. Today we're going to start off at a higher altitude and look at several of the construction sites and then do some detail views as well. First off, we are at the North Campus. This is the Optimus 10 million per year run rate factory for the Optimus robot. You can see the amount of progress that is happening from most of the length of this first phase of the slab and the graded area. You also see what's going on here at the north. And we have a little bit of water because we continue to have a lot of rains. That's one of the reasons why we have the low clouds today. Very unusual spring into summer this year. Of course, we are almost at the summer solstice, so we are about to start summer. And this is kind of the conditions that they have to deal with. Now you can see that they have a lot of equipment down here on the north. They're getting ready to put another crane together, and a lot of the geopiers are at work on the north end. In the middle section, just north of the steel, we can see a lot of the footings have been created and poured. And just south of the steel, we see more of the footings are underway, and that large kind of gravel section is where it was a deeper foundation. On the south end, we see more of that gravel, and they're getting ready the dirt. And just to the south of the road, we are seeing the reclamation work well underway as they raise the grade up here, reclaim the old sand and gravel mine, and fill in some of the pond. You can tell where the tree line is on the right, where the silt fence goes across. Kind of monitoring this to see if this is just temporarily for this amount of the ground that's going to be reclaimed, or if it's going to continue further to the south. That is possible, but we'll have to watch. But you can tell the amount of fill that is being brought in to reclaim this land is extensive. This is almost identical to what we saw with the main factory when it was built, mostly in 2020 through 2022. And much of the early work was exactly the same as what we're seeing here. In fact, we're seeing a lot of parallels with this construction in the main factory. While I stop here, I want to show you that this kind of infield area on the right is now starting to see some fill on this corner. We'll have to watch and see if that continues throughout that whole area. As I move back over to the main foundation, you can see how they're working on this hill of dirt on the left-hand side of the screen, transporting that around the site. As we pass this kind of gray gravel section, you can see the rebar cages, more of these footings, which are sort of mid-level pedestal type footings that are being put in place. And then farther to the north in that gray gravel section, these are similar footings in a deeper section of the foundation, at least with the excavation work that we saw earlier on. As we get closer to the main structure, I'll zoom in, show you what it is looking like on the east half. It looks like it's about 2 floors, at least for right now. Actually, I take that back. It looks like it's going to be 3 or maybe 4 floors to match the tallest section in the middle. They still have some ways to go with the steel erection. We can see the roof structure in the middle area is taking shape, so that is the final height. You can see a slope to it, and they're extending the steel further to the west, closer to the drone. A lot more steel on the ground and 6 cranes at work, and that is kind of indicating the speed that they expect to be constructing this site with. Of course, the other crane is being assembled on the north end, coming into view off to the left-hand side of the screen. So they are expecting to see a lot of quick progress with steel erection now that many of the footings are done. I also mentioned that this is similar to what we saw with the main factory construction. Another thing that is similar is that the steel structure is in the middle and it's working its way to the north and the south. That's almost identical to what we saw with Giga Texas's main factory, starting with the paint shop and then working from that direction on both the north and the south and filling in the width of this site. Another thing that we're probably going to see as time goes on is that they're going to get part of the building completed and to a point where they can start bringing equipment in even while construction is underway. And that would also be similar to what we saw with the main factory. As I fly over the green belt and the sand and gravel mining remnants below the drone, we can tell that there's another marshalling yard here with a lot more steel. And the steel deliveries are almost constant, even on this holiday. And you can see another truck on that road on the left-hand side of the screen. As we fly to the south towards the trailers and also the red tank for the diesel refilling station. You can see that there's some other items that have been placed in here, and also the Lippmann crushing operation that was removing all of the old concrete that was directly ahead here near where this crane is located, and that means that they are getting ready to move that off-site, and all that work is completed. We do see a new structure being added here. This is most likely another one of the temporary workshops, possibly related to the east side construction site, to relocate a lot of those workshops to allow for that construction. You can tell that much of the work here is now working on the grade, and that pipe at the bottom right is the last remnant of that old baghouse filtration plant, which was part of the concrete operation here well before Giga Texas. So that remnant is still here. Kind of a bit of history. More of the groundwork here below the drone. You can see how it's kind of merging into this staging yard next to the tree. And I'm going to bring the drone up. We're going to fly back over towards Cortex 2, where we'll look around the entire site and see how this is coming together. You can tell that they are more workshops here in the middle section between Cortex 2 and the die shop. We'll get a closer view of that here momentarily. But right now, I'm going to stay at this altitude. Let's fly around Cortex 2 and see what the progress is on this construction site. Now, of course, this is the location where they have the AI data center for Optimus Robot, possibly some full self-driving. It's partially operational right now with half of the megapacks and half of the cooling system in place. The rest is being installed right now. The plan is for this to be fully operational sometime this fall. And so the next big thing that we should be seeing is megapacks arriving to fill out the rest of the west side. When it's completed, it'll be somewhere close to 260 megapacks to support this facility. They have 2 of these cooling towers. That's double of the cooling capacity that we see with Cortex 1 on the south end of the building. And there's also some more megapacks here on this side of the building. 2 groups of about 14, so 28 on the east side. So a lot of big progress going on with Cortex 2 here, and it's located just to the south of the Optimus factory, which we just saw earlier in the video. So everything is kind of conveniently co-located. As I bring the drone down lower, I wanted to show you some of these workshops that have been put into place. We see a delivery on a yard truck of more of the pipes. I think that some of these are going to be that pipe manufacturing or assembly and fabrication workshops that we currently see on the east side. You see more of them here in the middle, and I think the clearing off to the left is where we're going to see even more workshops as they prepare to relocate everything for the construction of that joint venture with SpaceX. Here next to the cooling tower, we see more of these white wrapped items ready for installation, and 3 trenches for conduit. You can see that work underway right now in this middle section just to the south of the part 2 of the cooling unit. And as I kind of pan the drone up, you can see where that is located. Now on the right hand side of the screen, we can see those new workshops that are being put together, some of the materials, also some trailers with large pipes at the bottom left that were fabricated on the east side, and a good look into what this looks like here with this new structure. And we'll keep watching this to see how the removal and relocation of the items on the east side progresses. So I'm going to pull away down the alleyway, looking to the north towards the cooling plant for the battery cathode plant, and pivoting over to the left, looking to the west, where the Tesla road will eventually come through and connect to the River Road extension, which is being built right now on the right top of the screen. I'm also going to take a look here with a zoom in on the anthropomorphic test device, or the crash dummy new facility on the bottom right. You can see the door is open. Looks like they're getting ready for operations in there. The crash testing facility shows the crash test wall in place. We see a vehicle undercover near the door entering into that section. Many more vehicles that have been crash tested, and a Tesla Semi refresh with looks like some wrap around the bottom part of it. And maybe they're doing some crash testing with this particular vehicle as part of their development process. course, they're still crash testing some of the Cybercabs as that is getting ready for deployment into the robotaxi fleet. More of the workshops being placed here, and of course that temporary loading platform on the east side of the battery cathode plant. So I'm going to bring the drone up and we're going to do the same thing, fly around the battery cathode and die shop, just kind of get a better idea of where all of these things are located, what is here. Of course, the battery cathode plant is the input to this comes from the lithium plant near Corpus Christi. The lithium hydroxide goes through several processes here, and it comes out with that cathode material, which is used for the 4680s, and that's over in the north end of the main factory. The die shop is where they do maintenance, fabrication, testing, development, and possibly even some fabrication of the dies that are used in the die casting machines that are in the casting section of the main factory. And having that here on site is a big plus for Tesla, so they don't have to ship those really heavy dies very far, and they can do all the work here. The crash testing facility, it was originally built as a temporary structure. However, it looks like it's getting more and more use, and it is going to be here for quite some time. And we've seen a lot of the crash testing going on here over the years. And the wade pit at the bottom right was originally put in for the Cybertrucks, was used for a while in the early days, but I haven't really seen it being used since then. So let's fly back over to the east side and let's take a look at this construction site, which is where that joint venture is going to be with the SpaceX and Tesla for the advanced technology chip fab. And most of the work that you see going on here is the extension of River Road. At the bottom of the screen, you see some pipes for the underground water management system that will be installed. We see earthwork. And we also see some materials that need to be relocated in the right-hand side of the screen and the center of the screen. And coming into view is those workshops that I've been mentioning, that these all have to be relocated in addition to the recycle center at the center of the screen so that the construction of this large facility can commence. As I continue to maneuver around, we'll fly back over the recycle center, some of the workshops, and towards this part of the site, see another workshop in the process of being dismantled. The geopiers that are being used, at least in a small section, and more of the earthwork that is going on here. Now, you may wonder, or if you're not up to speed on what is this construction site, it is a joint venture with SpaceX. As I mentioned, it is to design, test, and iterate on future chips that are used for AI devices, both in Tesla and at SpaceX, which would include the Optimus Robot, the vehicles, and the orbiting AI data centers. So this will play a big role in the development of those chips. They will be fabricated in another new facility farther to the east of here, a couple hundred miles over in Grimes County. And that's going to be another major project to be tracking. Here's a good view of all the pipes that are situated here, waiting for their turn to be installed. And at the lower altitude, just some better view of some of the work that's going on. We see some power poles that have been moved down and placed for removal. We can see this steel items that need to be relocated, some of that earthwork, and a better close-in view of the geopiers. We saw some of these in operation in small sections on my previous video. There's not really a lot here, so this is not a concerted effort for construction, but it may be testing the ground for what is needed to support the footings for this factory once it starts construction. And with all the work that we see still ahead, I'm still thinking that it's going to be probably later this summer before we see proper construction beginning. But a lot of the detail work now is underway to prepare for that to begin. So I'm going to stay at this lower altitude as we look around a little more here, show you some closer views of these workshops and the recycle yard. Also, the work on the water retention pond in the upper part of the screen that eventually will be lined and holding water permanently. And of course, a better view here of where the pipes are being fabricated. So we'll fly around here and I'll resume narration over closer to the main factory. Something I wanted to point out here, we're going to see along the east side of the factory, is that construction inside the factory of a new production line is underway. Now at the bottom of the screen we see all these crates. There's been a lot more of them. Also those 3 white silos, those are for inside the what they call the body in white part of the factory. This is all being installed in multiple floors on this east side. We can see that workshop on the left. We can see some items here associated with the stamping section, and then here of course is the exit point for the Cybercabs, and I'll kind of maneuver here, zoom in, and show you what this looks like. That door is where the Cybercabs exit the factory. They're temporarily stored here, then they move themselves autonomously over to the east side for final preparation and then shipping out. Now, the last video I had showed all of these had Cybercab logos and details on them, or decals on them. Those have all been moved over to the east side, or correction, the west side at the end of line facility. So all of these are new since Wednesday. So there is inventory swap out and production is continuing. Now getting back to the new production line, we're going to start seeing evidence of that as I continue to maneuver to the north on this east side. And what we're going to see is a lot of these crates with materials here at the center of the screen on the ground that are being unpacked. This is similar to all of the crates that were located just to the south of that parking garage that I mentioned. And then here we see a lot of them being unpacked and prepared to be moved inside this part of the factory. And again, this is part of establishing another production line in this part of the factory. And we'll have to see what that is for. We do know the Roadster is coming here to be built in Giga Texas, and it's going to be in a relatively short period of time, so maybe that's related. We do see new receiving doors being built, and as we continue to move towards the north, we see some more of these items, some of which have been stored here for a while. Others are relatively new, and that is still for production line additions to the factory. Now we do see the rack mounts here with more of the castings. Almost all of these are the Model Ys, and some of them are the Cybertrucks. The interior part of the factory is where the Cybercabs are moved. We see deliveries of the aluminum wheels for melting down in the melt center. Those will be supplying the aluminum for the castings. And as we kind of look around the north part here, we're going to fly over Tesla Road. I wanted to come back up and we'll do another bird's eye view of all of the electrical upgrades that have been made here for the factory. And this has happened in several different phases. We'll start here with the electrical switchyard. The first half was built a couple of years ago for the main factory and has been powering things since about 2022-23. And then on the east side, we can see a doubling of the switchyard. That is just finishing up construction now, and that more than doubles the amount of electrical power that is coming to the factory. As I continue to maneuver around the power poles, it's a good view of that electrical switchyard looking back towards Cortex 2. What we're going to see at the bottom right is one of the 2 other mega packs. This is the original one. This is about 68 of them. It supports the factory and the electrical grid around the area for stabilization. The other one is for Cortex 1 on the south side of the building. That's used for autopilot training. So together, all 3 of those mega packs will be over somewhere around 400 or so here on the site, which is a pretty massive megapack installation and a lot of power for everything, including the data centers and the main factory. Here on the north end, as we pass the paint shop and the plastics section, we can see this yard truck bringing more of these cabinets. This is production equipment for 4680s. Also within this location, you can see the temporary doors and with the plastic wrap around them. This is where we've been seeing a lot of concrete trucks going inside and preparing for additional expansion of the production capability for 4680s. Coming into view here are workers on the berm. What I found out is that they are testing a new mower that Tesla uses for all the berms. The berms that are here on this side of the road are Tesla's responsibilities, and they have a new semi-robotic kind of a hybrid electric gas motor that is controlled with a joystick, and they're testing that out, which is pretty cool. As we get closer to this part of the factory, this is where we see the cans being recycled from the 4680s. This may be related to that expansion of the production line that we talked about, which is probably a very good sign as they continue to boost the amount of 4680 batteries that they are able to produce. We just saw a Cybercab heading to the north on the roadway, and that has been going on all day. They've been doing a lot of testing of the vehicles, similar to what we saw last year with doing simulated stops. There's another Cybercab here. We'll follow it along, and these have been just driving all over the site today. Kind of perhaps testing out some more of their software, or maybe just pick up and drop off testing. Hard to say, but it is something new. Here, I'm going to stop and show you that there is another horizontal drilling operation that is underway. You can see the drill in the yellow at the center bottom of the screen. You see some of the support equipment on that blue trailer. And this is going underneath River Road towards the Colorado River again. We've seen a lot of this before. It's used to put in some pipe, usually HDPE type pipe. So I'll monitor that and see what they're going to be doing. It may be related to some additional pipe work on the south side of the Colorado River. And as we cross over the road, I'm going to pan back that direction. You can see all of that work that is being done just to the south end. So that horizontal drilling may be related into some degree. And looking back across the center highway along River Road, you can kind of see where that began. So I'm going to pan across the West Warehouse on Wheels, looking towards the staging yard and the test track. And one more time, I'm going to stay at a higher altitude, and I'll give you a bird's eye view of all of the activity that is going on. We see the Cybercab testing fleet at the bottom of the screen. We can see the painting marks on the driving surfaces of the roadways that have been completed. There's still this large infield that needs some reclamation work, and possibly, maybe if we're lucky, we'll see a Cybertruck off-road testing route there. I would like to see that. And also, they're going to have to do some seeding of the grass around the berms here for erosion control. With all the rains that we've been having, it's been an issue for construction and just maintaining all of the dirt berms while the work is continuing and before they can get that seeded to prevent it from eroding with all the rains. Here's a great view of the track looking back to the main factory. The center oval still has some of those chicanes or the wavy roads that need to be finished up. There's also a large pad on the right-hand side of the screen that needs to be completed. And in typical Tesla fashion, they're still putting this track to partial operation while the construction is continuing. We can see here that they have these lanes marked with these yellow dividers. On this part of the straightaway, it looks like there's 2, maybe 3 lanes, and most of the road here is pretty flat. I'm not sure what that is going to be used for yet. As we go over where the chicanes would be to this straightaway, we can see that there's one more lane that has been marked off, or actually it looks like 2 lanes that have been marked off, and they have a lot of the rumble strips of various different heights and spacing along this part of the track. So more testing, and it looks like this is, at least for right now, being used for Cybercabs. And as we get to this part of the site, we can see where those operations, at least temporarily, are being set up. Today, there's 5 Cybercabs. It's a few less than we saw in my previous video. We can see the rounded, almost like Quonset roofs on the ground, the frames getting ready to be lifted up and put onto these stands that are also using the planters. And that's going to provide cover for heat and probably weather for the operations here. We can see the porta potty for latrine and the control trailer. So this looks like it's a semi-temporary operation that's going to support the use of the test track until they are able to put in the more final facilities. I'm going to bring the drone up over the power lines. We'll look at this material staging yard briefly. And there's a couple of things I do want to show. One is that rounded top workshop is where they're doing a lot of the assembly of superchargers, many more than are just needed here at Giga Texas. So this is clearly for the greater Texas area, maybe even beyond that. And then here is where we see the last of the cabinets for the 4680s. We saw a few of these on the yard trucks being brought into the north side of the factory. We used to be a lot of them here, so that is all that is left. So that's maybe another positive indicator what is going on inside the factory for the 4680 production. Here's more of the transformers. There's another site farther to the north with many more, so the accumulation of transformers continues. As I mentioned before, transformers are a big limiting factor for power use facilities and also for data centers, so I think that's why they are accumulating them here. Do see some Cybercabs mixed in with Cybertrucks and Model Ys on this west side of the outbound lot, and that's all for transportation off-site. As I round the corner here, I'm going to get the drone down low, and I want to show you what this section with all of the Cybercabs looks like from nearly ground level. There's a couple of interesting things that I want to show you here. The first of which is just the number, and that continues to be in the realm of around 80 or so around the site each day. And the inventory is definitely changing out, because I can tell with this coming into view with the Cybercab logo marked Cybercabs. And this is something is new. We saw this happening over on the east side at the factory exit last couple of days. They've now been moved over here. What is the purpose of this and why only some of them have it, not all? It's hard to say. They may be display models, or it may be just another intended use, maybe the permanent marks as they join the robotaxi fleet. So definitely something to keep watching for and see how that develops. More Cybercabs next to the end-of-line facility, and we see another grouping here on the middle section of the outbound lot near more of the Model Ys and the Cybertrucks. And as I pivot back towards the supercharger tents, there's another large grouping here. Although it's less than we saw in my previous video, this inventory is definitely swapped out. I've been seeing employees moving these over towards the outbound lot for shipping as well. So this inventory is definitely changing as they move off-site, which I think is a great sign too. Now, what they're being used for, where they're going, and when we're going to see them in the robotaxi fleet, that's a good question. I don't really know, but I do see so many of these here at the site and leaving the site, and we're seeing many of them show up in various locations all over the country. So that'll be it for today. I hope you enjoyed this version of my drone flight. As always, thank you very much for your support. Have a great weekend. Take care.